Someone cannot stop thinking about you, and deep down, you already feel it. This is not just your imagination. This is not one of those passing thoughts that comes and goes and means nothing. No, the person who appeared in your mind has a reason for being there, and before you brush this off, stay with me, because what you are about to hear may explain the strange silence, the distance, and the pull you have been feeling all along. There is a quiet bond between you and this person. Strong, hidden, hard to explain. It does not scream for attention, but it never fully leaves. And here is the part that changes everything. This connection is real, but something about it feels blocked. Something makes it feel untouchable, delayed, almost forbidden. Maybe life is in the way. Maybe timing is wrong. Maybe fear is standing where love wants to stand. But even now, even with space between you, this person feels you more deeply than they admit. They carry you in silence. They think of you in moments they cannot explain. They try to stay in control, but the feeling keeps returning. And if this already feels personal, keep listening, because the truth behind this kind of bond is deeper than most people ever dare to face. What seems like distance may not be the end of the story at all. In fact, it may be the very thing proving how much this really matters. And the deeper we go, the more clearly you will see why this connection still lives inside both of you. There is someone in your life, or maybe someone from your past, who keeps rising in your thoughts without warning. Not softly, not by accident. They return again and again because something between you never fully settled. This is not a light attraction. It is not a short emotion that fades after a few days and disappears when life gets busy. It is steady, deep, quietly powerful. They feel drawn to you in a way they may not even know how to explain to themselves. It is not loud, dramatic, or easy to show. It is controlled on the outside and intense underneath. And yet, even with all this feeling, the path between you seems closed. Not because there is no emotion, but because something is standing in the way of it. That is the part many people misunderstand. When a connection feels limited, people often assume it must be weak. But sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes the reason it feels blocked is because it is too strong, too disruptive, too life-changing to enter casually. So, before you tell yourself it means nothing, look closer. Some bonds do not enter your life to be simple. They arrive to reveal something. They wake something up. They expose what has been hidden under routines, roles, and old choices. And if you have ever felt someone close to your spirit while far from your hands, then you already know this kind of truth cannot be measured by normal rules. Keep watching, because the silence around this may not mean absence at all. It may mean the feeling is so strong that neither of you knows what to do with it yet. This person did not plan to feel this much for you. It likely began in a small way. Maybe you were just someone they noticed, someone they liked talking to, someone who felt easy to trust. But little by little, without meaning to, you became someone important. Then you became someone unforgettable. And somewhere in that slow shift, their inner world changed. What makes this difficult is not a lack of care. It is the pressure around the care. The situation, the timing, the responsibilities, the fear of what this feeling could affect if they let it grow in the open. For some, that means another relationship is already in place. For others, it may be family expectations, social pressure, cultural limits, distance, or private obligations they believe they cannot break. Sometimes it is not that they do not want you. It is that wanting you asks them to question the life they built. So they stay still, they stay quiet, they watch from a distance, and that silence can be confusing if you do not understand what is happening beneath it. But silence does not always mean there is no love. Very often it means the emotion is so powerful that speaking it would change everything. And they know that. That is why they pull back. That is why they hide it. That is why you feel the tension without the words. If you have ever wondered why they seem present one moment and distant the next, this is why. The feeling is there. The fear is there too. And both are fighting for space inside them at the same time. Every day they go through an inner battle because of what they feel for you. They wake up and think of you, then quickly try to push that thought away. They replay moments with you in their mind, then judge themselves for doing it. They imagine what it would feel like to be closer, then pull back in fear because they sense that if they let themselves move one step forward, they may not be able to return to who they were before. That is what makes this connection so heavy and so sacred at the same time. It is not just desire. It is not just chemistry. It is the feeling of being deeply affected by another person in a way that reaches beyond the surface. Hidden feelings do not vanish just because someone refuses to name them. They stay, they build, they move underneath daily life like quiet fire under stone. And that is why you may feel sudden waves of emotion for no clear reason. That is why they enter your thoughts at random times. That is why your mood shifts when they are nowhere near you. The connection has not ended. It is simply living in silence. Stay with me here, because this part matters. What is buried does not become weak. What is buried often becomes stronger. And the more they try to deny what they feel, the deeper it settles into them. That is why this bond can feel almost alive even in separation. It continues moving in the background, shaping thoughts, emotions, dreams, choices, and private moments neither of you fully speaks about. On the outside, this person may look calm. They may seem settled, focused, balanced, even emotionally unavailable, but appearances can hide a great deal. Inside, there is a push and pull that rarely rests. One part of them wants to come closer. Another part tells them not to risk it. One part feels deeply seen by you. Another part fears what being fully seen would demand from them. They may worry about disrupting lives, crossing lines they once promised never to cross, or opening a door they do not know how to close again. And this is why the connection feels strange. It is not a game. It is not manipulation. It is not about ego or control. It is two people touched by something real and not knowing how to place it inside ordinary life. That is what makes it hard to forget. You are not easily replaced in their mind because what they felt with you did not feel ordinary. It changed something in them. And whether they speak about it or not, they know that. There is a kind of recognition in this bond that goes beyond simple attraction. It reaches into identity, into truth, into the parts of a person that usually stay hidden for years. So if you have been telling yourself that maybe you imagined all this, maybe you felt too much, maybe you made it bigger than it is, pause right there. Some connections do not need constant contact to be real. Some are proven by the way they continue echoing long after logic says they should have faded. And this one, for both of you, keeps echoing. This connection does not behave like a normal attraction. Distance does not weaken it the way people expect. Time does not erase it cleanly. Distraction does not fully remove it. Even when both of you are busy, even when life demands attention somewhere else, this person still returns to your thoughts, and you likely return to theirs too. That happens because unfinished emotional truth keeps rising until it is faced. They may spend entire days looking completely unaffected. They may focus on work, family, daily tasks, routines, plans, and responsibilities. But deep inside, the mind returns to what it cannot complete. They remember how safe they felt with you, how natural it was, how seen they felt without having to explain themselves too much. They remember the comfort, the pull, the strange familiarity, the feeling that something important was happening even if neither of you named it clearly. And that is exactly why it unsettles them. Because once someone feels genuinely understood in a way that reaches the heart, that experience does not disappear. This is where many people get these connections wrong. They think distance means less feeling. But often distance is created because the feeling is too strong, too real, too disruptive, too costly to enter halfway. So they choose control, they choose routine, they choose what is already known. But that choice has a price, because every time they deny what they feel, the emotion changes form. It becomes restlessness. It becomes emotional distance in other parts of life. It becomes an unnamed emptiness they cannot explain to anyone. And in quiet moments, whether they admit it or not, your presence becomes the measure against which everything else starts to feel a little less alive. You feel it too. Since this person entered your life, something inside you has shifted. Your standards changed. Your heart became clearer. What once felt acceptable may now feel flat and incomplete. You may have less patience for shallow attention, less interest in half-hearted connections, less willingness to stay where there is no depth. That did not happen for no reason. This bond awakened something. It showed you what true emotional presence feels like, and once you know that feeling, it becomes hard to pretend lesser things are enough. That is why this connection is not only about longing for a person, it is also about waking up inside yourself. Some relationships are meant to become a shared life. Others arrive to shake you awake, to sharpen your inner truth, to change what you are willing to accept and what you are no longer willing to betray in yourself. This one may be doing exactly that. It may still become more in time, but even before any final outcome, its deeper work has already begun. You became mirrors for each other. You brought hidden parts to the surface. You revealed truths the other could no longer ignore. And if this is reaching you right now, there is probably a reason. Because these kinds of bonds do not just ask, will we be together? They ask something deeper. They ask, will you live honestly? Will you stop abandoning what your soul already knows? That is why letting go feels difficult. Not because you are weak, not because you are obsessed, but because what happened here touched something real, and real things leave a mark. This does not mean you should stop your life and wait in pain. It does not mean you should put your future on hold for someone who is still fighting their own fear. It means you should understand what this bond is teaching you. It is showing you how deeply you are capable of feeling. It is showing you the difference between surface attraction and true inner alignment. It is teaching you that real connection gives energy even when it hurts, because it reveals truth. And it is likely doing the same for them even if they are still resisting it. What happens next cannot be forced. It cannot be rushed by desire alone. It cannot be solved simply by chasing, overthinking, or trying to decode every quiet signal. A bond like this only opens fully when honesty becomes stronger than fear. Until then, it lives in a space between worlds, not gone, not fully present, alive in thoughts, alive in emotions, alive in those quiet moments when something inside you whispers that this mattered far more than appearances ever showed. And as time passes, the pressure inside them will keep growing. The gap between the life they are living and the truth they are feeling will become harder to ignore. The same is true for you in your own way. Once awareness wakes up, it does not go back to sleep easily. So if you have felt this connection as both beautiful and heavy, that makes sense. It is not here to destroy you. It is here to change you. And change, even when holy, is rarely comfortable in the beginning. For them, readiness usually starts quietly, not with a dramatic confession, not with one sudden move. It begins as discomfort, small cracks, a growing sense that the roles they play no longer fit the same way. Duties that once felt normal begin to feel heavy. Relationships or routines that once seemed fine begin to feel hollow. Their usual emotional habits stop satisfying them. They start seeing the difference between a life that looks right and a life that feels true. And this is important. You are not the cause of everything falling apart inside them. You are the light that revealed what was already out of place. That is why this connection feels risky to them. Not because it threatens their safety, but because it threatens the picture they built of who they are supposed to be. Truth asks for courage. Truth asks people to face what they feel and decide whether they are strong enough to live in alignment with it. Many people are not ready when that moment first arrives. So they delay. They make excuses. They tell themselves it is just a phase. They say it is fantasy. They hope it will fade if ignored long enough. But deep bonds do not disappear through avoidance. They become pressure, quiet pressure, the kind that keeps building until one day it can no longer hide beneath the surface. This is why you may feel them move close and then retreat. It is not because they are unsure of you. It is because they are still standing between the self they have always been and the self they are slowly becoming. And you, in many ways, represent that doorway. Something equally powerful is happening inside you. You are learning discernment. You are learning how to tell the difference between intensity and truth, between wanting and knowing, between chemistry that burns fast and alignment that changes you from the inside. That is a gift, even if it came through pain. This connection did not come to trap your heart forever. It came to bring light into your deeper world. You may notice that outside approval matters less now. You may feel less willing to shrink yourself just to fit someone else's comfort zone. You may feel more protective of your peace, more devoted to honesty, more aware of what your heart can no longer pretend not to know. That is growth, real growth. And once you feel that kind of inner shift, you do not return to old patterns so easily. This connection is unique not because it promises a perfect ending, but because it carries real meaning. Whether it becomes a shared life or remains unfinished, it has already done something lasting. It has strengthened your emotional clarity. It has sharpened your instinct. It has shown you what truly matters in love. It has likely done the same for them. That is why neither of you can walk away from it unchanged. Timing may feel cruel, but timing is not always punishment. Sometimes timing is preparation. Sometimes two people meet not to unite immediately, but to awaken separately first. Without that inner growth, even the strongest bond can break under old fears, hidden wounds, and unfinished healing. So do not mistake delay for failure. Some things are ripening beneath the surface long before they can be held in the hands. Right now, the real invitation is deeper than romance alone. It is asking both of you to become more honest with yourselves. For them, the question is whether they are willing to face truth even if it disrupts the life they carefully arranged. For you, the question is whether you are willing to value yourself so fully that you no longer lose your center inside uncertainty. That is why patience matters here, but not the kind of patience that keeps you frozen, hoping and hurting. The right kind of patience is active, awake, self-respecting. It keeps moving, it keeps growing, it keeps choosing life while leaving space for truth to reveal itself in its own time. You are not meant to stop living. You are not meant to remain stuck in longing. You are meant to keep becoming, to keep building peace, to keep choosing what is honest, clear, and nourishing for your soul. If this connection is truly meant to become something solid, it will only happen when both of you can meet without masks, without fear running the whole story, and without half measures pretending to be enough. And if it never becomes a shared life, that does not erase its value. It has already changed your direction. That is not loss. That is transformation. Many people move through life, never meeting a connection that truly wakes them up. They choose comfort and call it love. They choose familiarity and call it peace. But you touched something that asked more from you. Something real enough to challenge your oldest patterns and reveal your deepest capacity for truth. That alone makes this bond different. As clarity grows, you stop trying to force this connection into neat answers. You stop treating every pause like a puzzle. You stop searching for hidden meaning in every silence, every delay, every shift in energy. And strangely, that is when your strength returns. The hardest part of a bond like this is not missing the person. It is losing yourself in the attempt to understand, control, or fix what is still unfolding. But you are learning not to do that anymore. You are beginning to feel how calm you become when you return to yourself, how steady your mind gets when you stop chasing signs, how much clearer your heart feels when you choose your dignity over confusion. That shift matters more than you may realize. Because while this connection once pulled you in through mystery, it is now teaching you something more lasting than longing. It is teaching you how to remain fully yourself in the presence of deep feeling. Real love does not ask you to disappear. It does not ask you to accept pain as proof. It does not demand that you live in emotional fog just to prove the bond is special. Deep emotion can be true, but truth must eventually create clarity, not endless self-abandonment. And on their side, the pressure continues to grow. They are becoming more aware of the difference between the self that performs and the self that feels alive. That split cannot last forever. People can avoid conversations. They can delay decisions. They can distract themselves with routines, but eventually, in the quiet, they meet themselves again. And when they do, what has been hidden begins asking to be lived. So trust this, not as fantasy, not as a promise you must cling to, but as a truth that has already done its work inside you. This connection came to wake you, refine you, deepen you, and return you to what your heart can no longer deny. It may still open into something more one day. It may reach a moment when honesty becomes stronger than fear, and both of you are finally ready to meet without holding back. Or it may remain one of those rare bonds that changed everything without becoming fully yours in the ordinary sense. But either way, it was not meaningless. It was not random. It was not small. It touched your inner life in a lasting way, and because of that, you are no longer the same. So let this be the truth you carry forward. You do not need to chase what is real. You do not need to force what is sacred. What belongs in your life will arrive through clarity, through courage, and through aligned action when the time is mature. Until then, keep your heart open, but keep your feet grounded. Keep your hope soft, not desperate. Keep your standards high. Keep your peace protected. Keep becoming the person this connection has been asking you to become. And if this message found you at the exact moment you needed it, then maybe that is your sign to stop doubting what your spirit has been feeling. Some bonds are quiet, but they are not weak. Some love stays silent, but it is not absent. And some connections enter your life not just to be felt, but to change the way you live forever.